before we switch some time over, before we wrap up to our audience Q&A, I did have a question. Cell and Gene, and certainly our product, it's small and emerging biotechs are near and dear to our heart. And so when it comes to the regulatory process, what is your top advice for small and emerging biotechs this year?
So yeah, go ahead, Nicole. You start with this
Peter,
one.
no.
Thanks. Yeah. No, you go.
Well, I mean, for smaller, Peter and I will both opine on this because I think that they're different pieces here. I think the advice from the standpoint of the review office for smaller biotech firms is really when you hear Dr. Marks and I talk about increased communication and engagement, that's extremely important. And I think especially when you are a small biotech firm, is to come to us early, come to us often. There are no dumb questions or questions that are inappropriate, but I think that the more engagement, the better, because we don't want to be in a space where programs have developed for quite some time without having enough engagement with us, and then we do get an application and there are holes or significant pieces that are not put together. And I say this from experience. And so I would just encourage the communication piece and encourage to use and access the meetings that we have available, especially for such firms. So I'll turn it over to Dr. Marks, who I'm sure will add more.
No, I think you said it really nicely. I think we probably over communicating better than under communicating. I also think that it really helps when sponsors come to us with well thought out questions. That is, taking the time to step back and just take a minute and provide us with a question and the information we need to potentially give a reasonable response on that question or a few questions. It really helps us, rather than just coming and saying, well, our development program is, it's hard. That doesn't really help us. It's hard for us to, we'll sometimes make suggestions, but it's much easier to have a specific question. Can we use an SF-36 to look at kind of, global health status, or should we use some other instrument? That's a specific question. Our reviewers can get their hands and heads around that and give a response and potentially provide some better ideas. So specific questions are very much appreciated. But I think getting back to what Nicole said, really having this dialogue, I just want to compliment Nicole for really leading the charge for the Office of Therapeutic Products to really have kind of a transformational approach to for the office, to really welcoming sponsors to communicate more and more fully with the office.